I think everyone's a graduate from Tehreek-e-Istiqlal.
Why
Even
did
Nawaz Sharif.
Where is it today?
Well, it merged with PTI.
You're saying Nawaz Sharif was part of an
Yes.
organization
Yes.
that is now merged in PTI?
Yes, they've got to be morally, ethically, financially
Right.
right, but beyond a certain.
You'll have no politicians left in the country.
No human beings. If the people are going to stand up for what they want, it'll be very painful for the bullets. Politically, bridge भी बनता है ना, उसका नाम भी एक खास नाम होगा. हॉस्पिटल बनेगा वो भी वही नाम होगा. भाई कौन सा उन्होंने कोई पैसे दिए थे, कुछ किया था, क्या क्यों ना? But उसके अलावा कोई नाम नहीं है आपके पास. Well, to graduate as a politician, I can give you another story. One is to jump ship, floor crossing, and get arrested. Then you qualify as a politician.
The new one is U-turns.
And U-turns, yeah, that's a very special. Well, I can go on about that too.
Hello and welcome everyone to DigiTales. My name is Faizan Sayed, founder and CEO of East River, and today I have a renowned architect from Karachi who also has spent some time in politics as he was the elected member of the Provincial Assembly of Sindh. He's also been a parliamentary leader of the PTI. Samar Ali Khan, how are you today?
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you.
So, you have been a parliamentary leader. You've been active in politics for a very long time, from the mid-80s.
Yes.
And you're an architect.
Yes.
And so my first question is that when most people think of architects, they think of, or at least I think of, the perfect blend of intellect and creativity. पर जब मैं पाकिस्तानी पॉलिटिशियन को देखता हूँ तो मुझे इंटेलेक्ट और क्रिएटिविटी दोनों नहीं नजर आती. तो what brought you into this space?
All right, so listen, it's a long story. Let me compress it. You know, we, as a Pakistani in America, when I was studying there, we cling to our culture and to our country. And so we used to be quite active in the college politics, which was all representing Pakistan. And we were very active, mashallah. But sitting there, you feel so strongly about the country that you want to come back and do something about it. And you don't realize it's politics or what. The nation needs you is the feeling that I did have. But then I realized that NGOs and charity is not the solution. That is more like a reaction to the injustices that the country is giving. So it shifted to a political change. Okay? The political direction or policy should enable or should protect people from injustice and, you know, the opportunity and all of those things which was lacking here. This was in the 80s. So anyways...
and PTI wasn't around in the 80s.
PTI wasn't around. And then, you know, there was this blast in Bori Bazaar. I remember I was in my shorts.
This is late 80s.
It was like, yeah, late 80s. But हो रहा क्या था कि उस वक्त बहुत stress था. Political stress था to the city. And I remember getting onto my bike and went around to Jinnah Hospital and to Civil Hospital and said, what can I do? And they said, just get out. Just get this medicine. Then I didn't have the money. So I went to my friends and I said, give me money. And they said, how much? Just take it.
Right.
In fact, they opened up the medicine cabinets and they started giving me medicine. एक तो ये चीज़ थी जब शुरू हुआ था ये. लेकिन then
it was an innate passion.
Well, it's like you want to do something.
You want to give, and it was maybe a feeling of giving back. मुझे community के लिए कुछ करना है for my community.
I didn't think about it. It was just my reaction to the whole thing.
Okay.
Now what happens is that I realized that ये क्या कर रहे हैं यार, ये क्यों हो रहा है? So I think I decided that we need to change this government. You know,
and this is in the 80s.
This is in the 80s.
And you joined Tehreek-e-Istiqlal at that point.
In 1985. I was led by Safia Khairi, who's this lady. She's a writer, a poet, and a very, educated woman. She said, "Okay, Samar, why are you sitting around? You need to come and get into this movement."
And she was a part of the movement?
Yes.
What was this movement, Tehreek-e-Istiqlal?
Tehreek-e-Istiqlal was led by Air Marshal Asghar Khan as a political party. And I think everyone's a graduate from Tehreek-e-Istiqlal. Even Nawaz Sharif.
Where is it today?
Well, it merged with PTI in
So you're
2000.
you're saying Nawaz Sharif was part of an
Yes.
organization
Yes.
that is now merged in PTI?
Yes. Ashraf Liaquat was there. Zia Isfahani. I mean, I feel just people who would otherwise not even think of politics wanted to believe in or did believe in the movement, Tehreek, and they decided or wanted to do something. Naeemul Haq was there. These are some of the originals that I know. So, and known people. So it wasn't because of that. I met these people there for the first time in my life, and they all wanted change.
And it was an ideology-driven approach or movement?
Totally. It was more like, it was not politics. Politics, we can get to that. It's a really messy game. It was a vision, a wish list.
And this wish list came up in the middle of a dictatorship.
Yes. This all started, Air Marshal Asghar Khan was active through the 70s and then into the 80s and so on. So, 70s mein Zulfikar Bhutto was running the government. Usse pehle, so there's a long history on this one. So effectively, I joined it later after the MRD movement finished. I wasn't there. I was in America at the time studying.
This is the movement for restoration of democracy. And this
I came back
in the early 80s.
Yes. I came back in 81 from America. And so I'm not political. I wasn't following it as such. I just wanted something for my country. Vagara, vagara. So by the time I got aware about it all, shaur aa gaya mujhe. तो कि ये तो political change चाहिए, ये तो it's a mess with these political parties and dictatorships and whatever's happening to the humanity here. So I think, anyways, I decided to join up. When I did join up, I just used to be like the sweeper. I mean, I used to tell me what to do. मुझे क्या पता है politics के बारे में वगैरह, और I'm still like that, but still. So I think that was the beginning, and then I was there. In fact, my partner, Ali Asghar, is Air Marshal Asghar Khan's son. He's an architect.
Okay.
And we became partners in 1989. We were always together. He came from the UK. I helped, I helped him set up his office as an architect, because by that time I was on my own. I had my own business going. And we became very close, and we decided to join up also. But it had no political link. We just got along, and we're still partners till today.
Wow. In
our architecture.
It's a long time.
It's a long time to be married to someone.
Yeah, that's a long time.
So I think ये सारी चीजें चल रही थी, and then, but in 1995, I met Imran Khan at Scotch Corner in Lahore. I don't know Lahore one bit.
Right.
And I was there. I was doing a project. It was Jahangir Tareen's house in 93, 94, 95. And when I met Imran, he was just thinking about what to do next. Shaukat Khanam is done. And we need to now get into education. And I was like, wow, this is what I want for our people. This health and education and justice. They're basically
the pillars of giving back to community,
it's
right?
very basic fundamentals.
Right.
So, anyway, so that's that story.
And that's where the PTI movement began.
So that's when I got involved in PTI, because I saw, and I told Air Marshal, I said, listen, I got to go.
Right.
Tehreek Insaf, when it was established in 96, I decided to, as a good politician should, jump ship.
Right.
That's a qualification for a
good lot of people seem to have jumped ship for PTI.
Well, to graduate as a politician, I can give you another story. One is to jump ship, floor crossing, and get arrested.
Yeah,
then you
that's
qualify
true.
as a politician.
The new one is U-turns.
And U-turns, yeah, that's a very special. Well, I can go on about that too.
We'll come to that in a
Ji,
second.
ji.
But I want to actually touch on one more thing. And you and I were chatting yesterday, and you talked about a point that really has sat with me since. You said that architecture is the culmination of sort of psychology, sociology, and anthropology, right? Because you're studying the human mind or the human today, where they came from, and how they operate with other humans.
Yes.
Basically, those are the three subjects. And that you need to study to be an effective or a good architect.
Yes.
Don't you need that to be a good politician too? Because
You definitely
effectively, as a politician, you are controlling that group of people. And so if you don't have this knowledge, my wonder would be, can you make a good politician without these?
Listen, to be, architecture actually had an impact on my life. It changed me. It made me learn or understand human nature, the social, cultural issues about how it impacts your designing capabilities. It's just an awareness program. Architecture doesn't teach you nothing. It just gives you an awareness session to discover yourself and and teaches you how to react to the everything that will have an impact on whatever you're doing. Does that make sense?
The academic environment of like an architecture program at a college teaches you this.
It doesn't say how to draw it. Well, that too, but
Right.
कैसे draw करो ये नहीं बताती.
Oh, I thought it was just like lines and charts
It
and
is,
a
but
big table.
every line can determine how a human being is affected.
Right.
It's that important. That line, when you draw it, means a lot.
Right.
It means कि हवा किधर से किबला किधर है हवा किधर से आएगी व्यू
Right.
किधर है प्रिवेसी कितनी होनी चाहिए आई मीन इट्स लाइक
सास किधर से आएगी?
कहानी सास किधर से आएगी बहू किधर से आएगी आई मीन इट्स लाइक द होल कल्चर
Right.
of everything, the physical and the emotional aspects of it. So it just taught us to become conscious about it. Now, when I go to Indus Valley or if I'm talking to kids in NED, I'll tell them, "Bhai, batao ki kya, what can play." You can't draw a line in isolation, in space. You won't know what. Then you look to Earth. Bhai, udhar Earth hai, udhar, something
Right.
has to. We don't design. We just react to
The environment.
the impact of our environment or into our. फिर culture भी आ जाएगा. हम बैठते कैसे हैं, उठते कैसे हैं, चाय कैसे पीते हैं, खाना कब खाते हैं, क्या करते हैं हम लोग, टीवी देखते रहते हैं या
तो
क्या
ये
करते हैं?
you have to as an architect ये सारी चीजें factor करनी पड़ती हैं.
Yeah, well, it comes. This is, I think, I'm not saying to be a good architect, I think you need to. This is how I see my life or
Right.
my profession. So it's a huge thing. Understanding or sensitivity is something which I was made aware of,
Right.
and I try to translate it onto paper by drawing lines to reflect that.
Right.
Now that is architecture. आपने पूछा था politics के बारे में.
Right.
Again, I feel, Allah ka shukr, I feel like I'm a good human being. And it's because of architecture
Right.
and this awareness. Politics
Does it make
is
you
a mess. Politics is the
This-
art, it's almost the opposite.
So politics is making you a bad human being.
Yes,
So then why stay in it?
because, it's like being क्या होता है when you have two personalities?
Multi-personality disorder.
Okay.
बस क्या वो
There's
क्या
a nice
bipolar, bipolar.
By bipolar, there's another one also. It's schizo.
That's not the nice one.
Acha, you're actually a schizo because architecture is like trying to create the ideal world
Right.
for whoever you serve.
Right.
I did the Clifton Medical Services, so I was thinking about the patient. How will he
Right.
walk in, and उसके साथ जो attendants 10 बैठे होंगे वो किधर जाएंगे, और फिर वो डॉक्टर आएगा वो किधर जाएगा, फिर staff किधर होगा. You react to that. So you're trying to create a perfect situation.
Right.
But with politics, it's the opposite. It is, unfortunately, and this is not Pakistan, I'm talking about across the
True.
board.
Yeah, it's the same.
Politics में होता है, and how I've changed also. I can even tell you that.
Right.
But the impact is to do the impossible. पहले तो ये बोल दें कि आप there is no ethics, no morals. आप सब बातें करते रहे, कुछ नहीं है, झूठ है. You know, lies is the basis of politics.
So, but what's the problem? Then you have no laws, you have no limitations. Because you see, as an architect, you have a lot of laws and limitations. ठीक है, इनैक्ट नहीं होती. सिंध बिल्डिंग कंट्रोल है, आपके उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट्स पूरी करनी पड़ती हैं. आपको रोड देखना पड़ता है कितना बड़ा है, ड्रेनेज देखनी पड़ती है कितनी बड़ी है, आपको उस एरिया की डेंसिटी देखनी पड़ती है, पार्किंग देखना पड़ता है. मतलब यू हैव टू थिंक ऑफ 1,000 थिंग्स व्हेन यू आर डिजाइनिंग अ बिल्डिंग. बट इन पॉलिटिक्स you have to think of nothing.
So effectively, let me just, because I knew this is coming up, great opportunity. When you're designing,
I walked into a trap.
You have to make U-turns. I'll tell you how. भाई drainage उधर है, आप इधर बना रहे हो, तो you'll have to make a U-turn. You'll say, oh gosh, I didn't think about that. यहाँ तो U-turn की बड़ी सख्त ज़रूरत है यहाँ पर. I have to change the design. I have to react to where the wind is coming from. I thought it was coming from here, but the north arrow is there. That means the wind is from there. So I have to make a U-turn. So listen, U-turn is
U-turns help solve problems.
Yes, is to solve problems. It is a pragmatic. You can't fall in love with your design and say, "But ये है, this is it."
Right.
Drainage उधर हो.
Why not spend maybe a few extra minutes thinking through your design before showing it to the public?
See, I'll tell
so
you,
that then you're like, "Oops, I made a mistake."
Yes, you do. I do. You have to. You see, design is an art. There's no formula to it.
Right.
You can do what you want, and it's fine.
Sure. So is
politics is an art. There's no formula.
Right.
You can't. अच्छा तो क्या होता है कि you and it's a learning process also. Honestly, design, in architecture, the biggest thing is exposure to the world. What's happening in America, architecturally, or Europe, or Middle East, or the Mediterranean, coming down to this way, all the way down till Bali.
And that's a function of, again, like you said, psychology, anthropology, sociology, so a little bit of geography.
Well, geography definitely, because architecture reacts to environments.
Right.
अब हमारा जो है, like my direction is anything that fits this climate, this culture, but it starts in Mexico, and it goes all the way into the Mediterranean.
Right.
North and South Mediterranean.
Right.
Then it'll come through Middle East.
Right.
It'll come and stop here. क्योंकि यहाँ से ना वो desert का जो एक feeling है ना,
right,
you don't go into a different environment like Thailand is a totally different story.
So this doesn't carry forward.
हाँ, तो एक तो environmentally ये चीज़ है.
In Southeast Asia,
Southeast Asia is a different geography
changes.
basically.
And then it's ocean after that till North America.
And culture changes accordingly.
And the culture changes.
Culture है, गर्मी में बैठोगे तो वरांडा तो चाहिए चाय तो पीनी है. किधर बैठोगे, दरख्त के नीचे बैठो या वरांडे में बैठो, छाँव चाहिए आपको. I mean, there's so many things. So listen, as a human being, I can think of anything, but I might miss out on the drain.
Right.
So I have to take a U-turn. Now coming to politics. Politics का मैं बताऊँ क्या चीज़ है. People have to understand. I think I've been on a learning curve. Honestly, I actually changed once I got elected. I don't know where I was going. I just wanted this dream. Okay, now we are going to change policy that will serve humanity. Khalas.
It's idealistic.
Acha, idealism. But then once I got in there, I saw the mess.
Right.
The real politics starts when you're an active politician. Otherwise, you might be a wishful thinker, an idealist, or whatever. And that's reality. Everywhere. America चले जाएं, Europe चले जाएं, सब कहीं politics ऐसी ही होती है, मेरा ख्याल है. I'm 99% sure of that. यहाँ पर भी ये होता है कि so I entered into the assembly. It was like going into a kindergarten class.
This is when you became a member of Sindh Assembly.
Sindh Assembly. 2013. And then, so let me give you an example. I shouldn't say it in public because...
We're just sitting, the two of us.
Well, I know two of us. But what I believed in when I walked in and how I left was different. I changed. In 5 years, I changed as a human being.
What led to that change?
मेरे जो principles थे ना, उसमें काफ़ी लचक आ गई, यू टर्न आ गया. और उसमें ये हुआ था कि and I learned this from Imran Khan, because he mentioned that, listen, don't get into this petty issues of principles. Look at the bigger picture. Now let me tell you what translation दे दूँ उसकी मैं. So he gave me an example of how he had to take Miadad, who was not the best human being in his mind, but he was the greatest batsman. He said, I had to win the match. I had to drop his cousin, his mentor, Majid Khan. And he said, but I had to choose Miadad because he's better. And we didn't win the match and came. Achha, I'm not a cricket person. I didn't never follow cricket. I was a rugby player. Rugby is a man's game. Cricket is a
Gentleman's game.
gentleman's game. Thank you. उसमें बस बॉल को मारो, ऐसे 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 मारो, बॉल को कैरी करो, अपनी जान लगा के कुछ और गेम होता है वो. That's me.
ये gentleman है ना?
I'm not a gentleman when it comes to rugby. So I think I got to thinking कि यार मैं ये क्या कर रहा हूँ, इससे हाथ नहीं मिलाओ, ये नहीं करो, वो नहीं करो, ये अच्छे लोग नहीं है, वो अच्छे लोग नहीं है, ये तो मेरे से नहीं चलेगा. मेरा तो is to bloody do something for the country or for the city.
Right.
I'm very dedicated to this city. I've lived here all my life. This is me.
Right.
मैंने बोला, and it's in a mess. So if I want to get something done, I got to interact, relate with anyone. There's no political likeness or dislikeness or anything like that then.
Right.
So I entered with that कि नहीं जी ये तो सब गलत है, मैं तो जाकर हाथ भी नहीं मिलाऊंगा किसी से. I left. They were all my buddies and I'm still in touch with them because if I'm doing something, I
Right.
need them. They're running the country till we don't take over.
Yeah.
In the assembly, I said, you're sitting there today in the treasury. We'll be sitting there tomorrow. So let's play the game clean.
Right.
So, anyways, I think I give you the gist.
No, I
of,
understand that.
How it's going.
And so you said one thing that I had actually written that down. You gave the example of how Imran Khan picked Javed Miandad to win a match and had to drop his mentor. And he had to pick someone that he was not necessarily, let's say, a fan of the personality, but a fan of the talent and what that talent can deliver.
Yes.
We saw the same thing, the same person, Imran Khan, do the same thing in 2018 when he dropped his ideological people in favor of electables to help him win the match, so to speak, right? And then these ideologists were out of the picture and suddenly they're making a comeback. Why are they making a comeback now and why are the electables not visible? Is it because the electables know that this is a match that cannot be won? And is that why there's space created for the ideologists?
All right, so I'll just tell you how I feel about the whole situation. I'm no expert, but here it comes. So I think he didn't drop no one. I think, it's like बिल्कुल मियादाद वाली कहानी है यहाँ पर कि to win the match at that time, I don't think we was as confident. You see, when we started in 96, we used to be sitting in our shorts and talking about कि भाई मुल्क को कैसे बदलें. Single tanga party हो तुम लोग. ये तो मैं सुनता. I heard that for about 15 years of my life. Single tanga party. I said, yeah, but I believe in the cause.
Right.
So anyways, it was going that way. So 2018 वाला जो कहानी आई ना, वो ऐसे आई कि we didn't know how strong we were. We had won only so many seats. In Sindh, we won only 4 seats in all of Sindh. One national, 3 provincials. One provincial PTI candidate left the party, or God knows what he did. Leaves us 3 people out of 4 in the provincial assembly. So here we were looking at the trajectory. We said कि यार ये तो इधर जा रहा है. We didn't realize कि ये उधर चले गया है. Now this gap had to be filled.
But sometimes strength also comes from external forces.
Yes, it does. I now believe it. Though I would have denied it and said it never happened in front of my eyes, but now I do think the external forces, yani the military, plays a. There are no neutrals here. Man, I don't want to land into. They'll come and arrest me. They can do it. What do I do? Yeah, I'll die. So what? I got to die someday. What I'm honestly trying to tell you is that they control everything. So I don't want to go on and on about that. Even the beauty parlors and the baking.
Really?
Bakeries also.
I'd stopped at the beauty parlors.
Okay.
I said, this is one space that I don't think they
अच्छा तो
control.
इसको आप cut off कर देना, इसको वो edit कर देना out. But listen, so politics though, this is the lifeline, controlling everything. Anyways, well, that's them.
I thought politics, and I'm just deviating, but one of the other things, and this is my view, and I just want to share it, is politics to me always seemed that you need to do whatever it takes to be in the room where decisions are taken. Right? So, I mean, and this is all parties, wherever globally. If I'm not in the room where decisions are taken, I'm irrelevant. So, what is it that I need to do to stay inside the room, be friends with enough people that once I'm in the room, then I can influence the decision? Maybe I'm not the decision maker, or I'm not the one taking the decision, but I can influence that decision. And I cannot influence it if I'm not in the room, and if I'm not in the room, I'm irrelevant. So, politics is not just about the politics of power and change and everything. Politics is about the politics of me staying relevant to be in the room.
Well, this is what happened. And I think इसमें ये था कि we didn't expect it or anticipate it or assume it.
Or ask for it?
No, I'm pretty sure we didn't ask for it. I believe we wouldn't have. I believe what really went down, I don't know, but I don't think
because
we
you
would have
did
gone
say,
there.
look, I mean, to win a match, you did say that IK was willing to compromise on a certain principle of his to win the match. And if winning is that important, and if the win is important, then and if how we win is not as important, then why not ask for the help?
No, but there is a red line. There is. In your life, I am, say, compromised.
But
there's a certain
history is written by the victors.
बिल्कुल ठीक है. लेकिन there are certain things. I'll tell you, there's certain things in life you may bend but you might not cross that line. अच्छा वो line क्या होती है? कुछ हर आदमी का अलग होगा.
Right.
I think like in my personal life, I will not steal. I mean, I'm just saying I will not steal, or I will not lie. कुछ चीजें हैं कि मैं नहीं कर सकता. I just cannot do it. But I will use white lies.
Right.
White lies का मतलब होता है trying to circumvent an issue which can lead you into a thing. I said, it's nothing. It might be hurting me deep down inside, but I said, no, it's okay. In a way, that's a white lie.
It's like the kids think, I didn't eat 4 lollipops, I ate 2.
वो तो मैं कह रहा हूँ lie नहीं करूँगा, लेकिन फिर वो white lie इसको मैं कहूँगा, and I don't qualify into a prophet or a farishta. I am a human being. So these lines are drawn in one's life, and when say coming back to whether we would have done it or not, I believe we would not have.
Right.
I believe we didn't. Now I'm talking about a bigger picture here and what was going on. I really don't know. When I say we, it's PTI. We did not really anticipate this happening to the extent it did. अब उसके अंदर जब parliamentary board बैठता है, I was in that parliamentary board. I sat through it. There's a whole procedure. There's a process. It's a pretty. Firdosh Shamim Naqvi is a solid man in this. Indus Motors wala aadmi hai. He's a corporate person. He knows how to do it. And so, I think we went through the process. Now, वो था पहले के okay, Karachi से maybe we can get only so many seats, and who are the people who we feel would be good representatives for Karachi. But the remaining seats, we didn't even think. Honestly, I'm telling you the honest truth here. We said, I don't know. Okay, who's the best out of all the applications we've got? Just give it to him.
Oh, that's how you picked.
Huh?
That's how you selected the candidates.
नहीं तो उसका पूरा criteria list होती है. How long have you been a member of PTI?
Of course.
ये वो वगैरह. So many weightage होती है. There's a point system.
So there was actually the process was followed in the selection of the candidates.
But I must say, in politics or everywhere, even in a business you run, there's also exceptions made.
Of course.
You'll say, okay, I think this person, but ideally you will go through for the sake of the business, you want to get the right person for the right job.
Right.
तो इसके अंदर जो reality मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको, उसके अंदर ये था कि we went through the process, and there were some exceptions, I must admit. They were there, but I think we did not expect all of them to get, nearly all of them to get elected also.
Right.
तो आप समझ रहे हैं ये हो जाता है उसके अंदर. तो ये मैं लाइन की बात कर रहा था. एक तो वो लाइन तो मैं से बता रहा था किधर थ्रेशोल्ड क्या होती है आपकी in making decisions as a person, as a human being, even as in our politics. It's the line is much lower. You will take more beating here, there, wherever. So electables की जो कहानी आती है ना, we are not, पहले we were into some other plane. जब Nazim, the founding members, they were like, they've got to be morally, ethically, financially
right.
Right, but beyond a certain.
You will have no politicians left in the country.
No human beings. There's no human beings that left for politics. There's no human beings that qualify.
There'll be no businessmen left.
There'll be nothing. So, but we started to lower that threshold.
So, what is the lowest threshold you think, that baseline threshold you should not cross if you're serving the public? Forget politics for a second. Serving the public.
Public money.
The financial corruption.
I mean, you can't take public money and not use it on the people.
So that you think is the lowest, that is the baseline.
That is unacceptable. I get very upset. I mean, even abuse of that. अब वो चीफ इलेक्शन कमीशन का घर बन रहा है. 10 करोड़ के लिए उन लोग टेंडर कर रहे हैं. यहाँ भूखे मर रहे हैं हम लोग और तुम लोग 10 करोड़ का घर बना रहे हो.
And the public is paying for this.
The public is taxpayer.
अच्छा, ये government का टेंडर है 10 करोड़ का.
Can you imagine?
I can, because I saw an S-class the other day. उसका नोटिस आया था कि आप हमें 2023 की S-class दिलाएं.
अब ये किधर रह रहे हैं यार? अच्छा चलें. I don't want to get personal on this thing.
Right.
I'm just saying this is public money. That's why people don't pay taxes. They'll pay zakat. They know that God has spoken to them and you pay bloody taxes.
But zakat तो जाता भी direct, मतलब
direct जाता है, नहीं उसके भी conduits होते हैं ना.
Right, उसके भी
conduits. I mean, I distribute ration. Say, someone trusts me enough to say, yeah, this is my zakat money, give ration.
ठीक है.
It comes on trust. Then it's my responsibility, बोझ मेरे ऊपर है कि मैं जाके दोज़ख में ना पड़ूं. कि मैं बोलूँगा यार फाइन, जो बिल्कुल यतीम है या कि कोई विडो है या कोई माजूर है, मतलब शनाख्ती कार्ड भी ले लेना, हम चेक भी कर. I mean, we do, but they probably still are slippages.
Right.
But you try your best. All right, so God will forgive, inshallah. But what I'm trying to say is कि जो threshold मुझे जो समझ आ रही है ना, वो injustice है. You know what is it is? It's so wide-ranging, yaar. I mean, what's happening in interior Sindh? Let's talk about interior Sindh. It is unbelievable, the misery that people are going through. The misery. ये लगता है कि हम जो medieval movies देखते हैं, of the warlords and.
But the people elect them.
You see, now this is what people don't understand about politics here. Which I'm totally green in politics. Even though I was there from 1985 onwards, how society is controlled over here. You think we were helped by the neutrals. Okay, but how politicians control humanity here? It is unbelievable. This is like,
and this is
warlords in Scotland. I know more about Scotland and England than about my own country.
So you're talking more about the feudalism culture that exists.
The feudalism is rampant and it's abused to the max. It's also the feudal mind.
So why not, when PTI was in power, why didn't they do something for land reforms? And
all right, so here you go.
Down?
Okay, so I'll talk about PTI. PTI, you pick so many battles. You can't do more battles than which we did finally. But battles में ये होता है कि first number one problem क्या है? वो ये है कि human suffering है ना, अगर तो economy को ठीक करो. This became the main thrust. कि for the first 10 years, we have to. It can't happen overnight. So you have to form policy that will help the economy. But foreign exchange नहीं है, तो फिर आप चलो कि सोच लो IT, tourism, remittances, ये वो पहले
And
डॉलर
those
से
are good
लेके
policies also.
well okay thank
But
you
then
so much.
why get caught up in revenge politics and waste time on that?
You're coming to present revenge
Talking about
politics?
even that time.
नहीं अच्छा सुने मेरे
Because there were some
perspective
very good policies, and even during COVID, I think good examples of governance was NCOC. I think was one of the greatest achievements of this country, where you showed that if push comes to shove, सारे institutions मिलके एक कमरे में बैठ के nationally एक फैसला ले सकते हैं सबकी बेहतरी के लिए. They did it. It worked.
You can do things. Issue पता क्या आता है
But why couldn't we scale the NCOC to create NCOCs for every sector? NCOC for the economy, NCOC for land reforms, NCOC for, you know.
अच्छा देखिए NCOC जो था ना वो ये सब जब डॉक्टर्स बैठ के इन्होंने कर लिया जो करना था, पॉलिसी बनी कि आपके पास वैक्सीन आएगी, वैक्सीन को किस तरह से डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करेंगे, उसका सिस्टम होना चाहिए, उसका अब आप यू टेक ऑन who do you take on? There's so many battles. आप सब all our institutions now it's much more evident have collapsed, all of them. आप किस को ठीक करने जाएंगे? पहले सुने, अगर आप मैं एक मिसाल लेता हूँ, अगर जुडिशरी
रूल ऑफ लॉ उसको पहले ठीक करना,
तो जुडिशरी में we happen to be on the same page.
बिल्कुल.
Suppose you take the judiciary, it is a mess, everyone knows it. फिर कोर्ट नहीं जाना है, उधर जाके फंस जाएंगे, 10 साल के बाद आपको कोई रिजल्ट मिलेगा, उस वक्त आप मर चुके होंगे. तो फिर ये सिस्टम तो नहीं चलेगा, क्विक जस्टिस तो कोई नहीं मिल रही आपको. सो व्हाट डू यू हैव टू डू? यू हैव टू रिफॉर्म द होल जुडिशियल process and the system that runs it. Now that is like what has been happening for 200 years. The British made it, they set it up, and it's been running. You try to change, unless if there's a bloody revolution, you can't do it.
You can't change the judicial system unless there's a bloody revolution.
Any system. मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, as an architect. पहले होते थे GI pipes, galvanized iron pipes हमारे plumbing के अंदर. किसी ने लाके PPR, which is poly something, और PVC के pipes डाल दिए. No one accepted him. ये बोले ये कोई पाइप है, ये तो ऐसे हो रहा है, ये तो नहीं होगा, फिर ये नहीं होगा, वो नहीं होगा. It took us about a good, I'll tell you, 7 or 8 years to try to convince the client कि भाई ये इस्तेमाल कर लो, ये चल जाएगा. This is a pipe. Now, you bring in anything new, you say कि नहीं आज से ये होगा, वो कहेंगे to hell with you, this is a democratic system. We're not into this dictatorial mode कि अब बादशाह तो नहीं है कि बोलेंगे ये करो तो वो हो गया. वो तो सिर्फ मैं और आप कर सकते हैं in our companies, but we can't do it in a public domain.
Absolutely
so
true.
You have to go through due process. वो due process इतना लंबा है कि by the time it gets done you'll die. So, expecting instant solutions, yes, then clearly come out and say we need a bloody revolution.
So then, एक second. So if let's say bloody revolution नहीं करना और due process follow करना है, let's say we want to go in this journey and really suffer through it and achieve some outcome, who can lead through due process की जो एक challenge होता है, जो time लगता है? Is it an individual that is elected into office in a country where there's so many powers at play, or is it the established forces?
So there's a strategy on this one. I'll share it with you.
Yeah.
पहले है इकोनॉमी को ठीक करो, जो इंसानियत है उनको अपने पाँव पे खड़ा करो. The only way you can fight a bullet, the only other alternate is people power. If the people are going to stand up for what they want, the bullets, it'll be very painful for the bullets. Now, first you have to raise their standard of living. You have to give them more, at least the fundamental basics of human life. अब वो तो देना उनको. अच्छा उसके लिए ना, that in itself will take, I'll tell you, I can't say one generation, it'll take 2 generations to do.
That's a long time.
It's a long haul.
And it's not one leader.
If you don't want a revolution, this is the way to go. So you want it instantly, that means you're saying, I'll vote for revolution. फिर आके आप उड़ा दो सबको, पॉल पॉट की तरह. and you start fresh.
Like,
Now
if
we
you're
don't want
saying
that.
We don't want that. And if
PTI doesn't want it.
And if it's the long haul, but theek hai, agar if it's the long haul, then you need something that's an institution, not an individual, right? And the challenge is, in this party, it seems to many that it is an individual-led party, not an institution-led party, that will not survive the next 60 years. And so how can this party be that party that creates that change that you're talking about if it's an individual-led party?
Damn good question. I'll just tell you what I know about it. I'm not I wish I had done political science, but I didn't. तो मैं आपको बताऊँ इसमें क्या है कि you need a vision.
वो है, आप लोगों के पास है, बिल्कुल है.
You need a following.
वो भी है.
ठीक है. So you make it into a cult. I'm trying to express that. How does it go? Once you have a cult or a following of that vision and believers, you have to take on through legal process the or re-institutionalization of institutions. यानी कि आप अभी हम 2/3 की कहते हैं, इमरान तो कह रहा है अब मुझे 2/3 चाहिए है, खलास. That is power. Why? Before we were in a coalition government, we didn't have majority vote. We had these small little parties threatening us, how we walk away, and finally they did. On whose instructions, we all know.
Right.
Which is so sad. I mean, there was no ideals, it's just, ये जो हमारा सबसे बड़ा enemy है ना, वो है मैं. It is, the self-oriented, हमारी ana. Our egos are our biggest enemy. So, when you want something for yourself, you don't care about the rest. So, that's why PTI is now switching from, we don't need electables and winnables. Because we needed them before, because we weren't sure how we could be fighting and sitting in opposition for another 3 generations, three governments. So the best way to do it, and that's known as pragmatism, is picking up people who you think can get us to the power base that we need to get a majority.
Right.
To form a government. We didn't get that. Because that's how it's been run before.
Right.
It's divide and rule here. Split everyone into pieces and control it.
True.
So we were left with that. We managed 3.5 years or whatever it is, did whatever we could. And I think, obviously, I feel we did good compared to where we are today. Now, what do you have to do now? आप institutions को ठीक करना है ना, तो पहले तो आप हमारी strategy थी economy को ठीक कर लें, हमारे इधर billions पे चले जाएं, 100 billion हमारे पास हो जाएं, और हर इंसान जो है उसको अपने basic rights मिल जाएं, लोग खुश हो जाएं. We have people power, and people power against bullets it takes, because right now it's the bullets that are controlling everything. The
True.
Constitution breakdown, the political breakdown, every breakdown is now the bullets.
But the thing is that, and I'll counter that, is the reason is they have bench strength. They have a team in place, right? When you talked about driving sort of long-term change, right? The one thing that I see, and I actually see this across the board now, it's not specific to any one party. There is no team, there is no bench strength. अभी एक leader ऊपर है, उसके 2-4 साथ में होंगे, ideological, लोग होंगे साथ में, supporters होंगे, कुछ whatever. लेकिन मैं जब bench strength देखता हूँ, क्या नीचे उतने लोग हैं कि अगले 60 साल तक इसको चला सकेंगे and drive that kind of change? I see that bench strength in some of the other institutions because they are built as an institution. This party and most parties are not built as institutions anymore. Some were, some in the past were, and they were built and they had succession plans and so on. But when we don't see institutions, when we don't see young grassroots kids coming in to become future leaders within the party, where is the future?
Okay, so damn good question. Again, it's so complex.
I'm hoping you have the answers.
No. I'm not a political genius or,
a lot more experience than me.
Listen, I'll just tell you that there is a team. There are people. There's some very good people. Most unfortunately stay out of politics.
And that's the problem because they don't want to be a part of the system that changes your morals over time.
Very openly supportive of what PTI wants and what they want. They're
Right.
not with PTI. This is their ideals. You
Right.
know, I'll even name Nazim Haji, for example.
Right.
He's a founding member of the party. Then he is like a Mr. This grey है ही नहीं उसके अंदर उसका
Right.
black and white है right and wrong there's no compromise he's just that kind of person I admire the man he's super
Right.
good लेकिन he can't function in a party
Right.
when you sit in a collective volunteer force everyone can express them कोई किसी की नौकर तो है नहीं यहाँ पर you're not paid to do your job you don't do it you're fired you can't fire no one in a political party it's a volunteer force I'm not getting paid to be there the other person isn't
Right.
you're there because you either believe it or there's people even in PTI who are there for self gain that's another thing
Of course.
so that's a human nature situation वो कहते हैं कि हमको so if you're saying that leadership आनी है there are two types there's the ideological people and there's the self gain people
Right.
there's no other way
Right.
तो अगर मैं majority फरिश्ते तो नहीं आए थे पीटीआई बनी है तो सारे फरिश्ते तो नहीं आ गए ना दे फ्रॉम द सेम पीपल
Right.
कोई इधर से इधर आ गया कोई उधर से
ऐसे
उधर आ
ही है।
गया उसने बोला यहाँ जाएंगे अच्छा कुछ जुनूनी जो होते हैं ना दे ट्रूली एंड दैट्स यूथ एंड आई एम टेलिंग यू वुमेन आई वाज इन शाह रसूल कॉलोनी द अदर डे
Right.
I just went there for rations. You know, we do rations and all. But I don't give the rations. I tell the people to just have it through their own leaders. There were women crying for Khan. I tell you, क्या जादू करता है ये आदमी उनके ऊपर यार. It's women. They're passionately about him. Other than his good looks. But hey,
I mean, he was the captain of a winning cricket
And
team.
of the
you know? So
and
that's
this and that.
they're crying for that guy.
अच्छा वो तो है लेकिन उसके साथ they believe that this guy is the savior. I
Right.
mean, I'm talking about
Right.
I'm going to Hijrat Colony today. Listen, I mix with people in my genes. I don't fake myself out. And when I hear people, men are much more complex in their own beliefs and all that. Youth is on their future and their ideals, and they see it, in my opinion, in PTI. Because we are working for them. We are working for the youth. My days are done. You know, I've graduated. I've got my children educated, and I'm
So now
done.
it's all for the younger generation.
For them,
Right.
you know, for not my children alone, it's all the children. And women want to have something for their children.
Right. So
That's a
they're also
common
aligned.
argument. Men are thinking about something else.
Right.
कि फ्यूचर्स में क्या हो रहा है और इधर क्या हो रहा
पैसे
है
कैसे
कारोबार
बनने
में क्या हो रहा है तो सुनिए तो मेरा कहना ये है कि लीडरशिप किधर से आएगी दे आर लीडर्स देयर आई हैव अ लिस्ट ऑफ पीपल हु आर नंबर 1 1 नंबर और 2 नंबर ये जो 2 नंबर वाले हैं ना उनकी भी मेरे पास लिस्ट है वी नीड देम
Right.
बट दे आर नॉट देयर टू टेक अ डाइव इनटू द वेल
Makes sense.
एग्जैजरेशन में बता रहा हूँ मैं आपको
Makes sense.
no one's going to dive into a well. But when I look at those who dive into a well, this is their list. That means they are true believers in the ideology, in the mission, in the vision, in the objectives. You know, एक वो लोग होते हैं ये कम है बहुत वो empty है ये वाली भरी हुई है because सब कह रहे हैं मैं
Right.
and part of my being getting reactivated in active politics is essentially because we need to unify.
Right.
Divided, we are not going to be effective.
That's true.
So,
That makes sense. I'm going to ask you my last question.
Ji.
You're a Karachiite through and through. Why does Karachi have no champion? A city with so much potential, a city with such rich history, a city that was built by immigrants, that has grown to the 6th most populous or 5th at this point. A city with no bounds, a city that pays 46% of this country's taxes. Why does this city have no champion? Regardless of the party.
no. Generally
And
speaking,
PTI had its chance too, I'll be honest.
see,
And
I
it-
tell you, we don't lack iconic people in the city. There's some great people.
it's full of icons.
The issue is leaders come out of such people. Not in political side, I'm generally keh raha hoon. I think we were talking about it last time. We need to project them more. We need to recognize them more. We need to make people appreciate and realize who are these leaders or icons.
So we need to build heroes.
We have to build them. Listen, nothing comes without marketing, man. वो क्या होता है कि exposure से ही पता चलेगा ना कि कौन क्या कर रहा है. तो what we really need to do is push them forward. They're not forward. They just do their job.
And how will they help that? How will they help the city if they're pushed forward?
They're already working on it in their own individual capacities.
But we need to showcase more of that.
You need to, yes. अगर आप मेरे से पूछे who's the icon of, like you asked me about a leader, I'll have to start thinking कि कौन है यार, ये तो बताओ कौन है. I'm not aware. आपकी अवेयरनेस उस वक्त आती है कि जब आप उनको रिकग्नाइज करें.
जैसे आप कहेंगे ईदी हैं, एक आइकॉन कराची.
अच्छा, अब देखें ईदी एवेन्यू बना दिया इन्होंने, लेकिन
बिल्कुल
शुक्र है.
चीपा है, उन्होंने कराची के लिए काम किया.
अब तो अदीब रिजवी, these are people everyone know, but there's a lot of unknown people who are doing amazing work.
इंडस हॉस्पिटल के डॉक्टर बारी हैं.
Doctor, I met him last night. He's a champion.
तो हमें इनको आगे लेके आना है to showcase what they've done for the city.
Yes. We need to respect them, appreciate them,
and that might trigger more youth to follow in their footsteps.
Yes, we don't project them enough. We are only politically bridge भी बनता है ना, उसका नाम भी एक खास नाम होगा. हॉस्पिटल बनेगा वो भी वही नाम होगा. भाई कौन सा उन्होंने कोई पैसे दिए थे, कुछ किया था क्या, क्यों ना, बस उसके अलावा कोई नाम नहीं है आपके पास.
Right. नहीं, आइकॉन्स हैं, उनको प्रमोट करना चाहिए.
So that's I feel we as not public, you as media people,
right,
or marketing people and etc., or something's got to be done to project our heroes.
Got it.
And we don't have heroes. We don't have city fathers. Anwar Maqsood hai.
He's a hero.
What a man.
Icon.
Right? He speaks his mind. He says how it is, but very subtle. He uses he's a real diplomat, and he's a good politician also.
Right. He'd make a great foreign minister.
Any minister. He knows how to maneuver it very sweetly. And we keep laughing and we understand because we connect with it. We believe it too. Right. But he expresses it. Right. Okay, they'll never make him a hero because ये तो बातें बहुत करता है.
Right.
ईदी है, पता नहीं ईदी के बारे में भी कोई कहानी निकलेगी. चिपा है या, I mean, we are just running down people. So anyways, this is a long...
No, I appreciate that. That's actually a good view though. I think what I took away from that was, if you establish icons in the city, I think it gives the youth someone to look up to. कि देखो अगर ये ऐसे हैं, I want to be like that someday.
Why are they like that?
And why are they like that? And how can I be like that someday?
I wish this message goes out to whoever sees it.
No, but I think that's actually valuable because the youth need people to look up to. And if we can get enough people to be highlighted like this in our city, and we have enough youth collect around them in the different areas, I think we can potentially see a turnaround in our fate in Karachi and hopefully nationally. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
I really enjoyed the discussion. I know we've covered pretty much every topic
I covered only 25%.
We should have you on again. Absolutely.
I have a lot to say.
No, I have a lot to learn.
And listen, so I can say it and you can spread it.
Right. Absolutely. That's what we do.
The idea is to communicate, I guess.
So best of luck.
Thank you so much.
On the political front. And,
I'm going to stand for elections.
And let's uplift Karachi together.
So listen, I'm stepping back in.
Right.
And I'm going to make sure... I did that in 2008.
Right.
We just ensured that we organize ourselves to win.
Right.
And that's why I'm back into the active politics.
Whatever you want to do for Karachi, you have my support.
I've got this long list.
Perfect.
We did go through that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you for tuning into Digitales. Subscribe to the channel below and stay tuned to the next episode. Bye-bye.